quiet border town, a warm spring night, a car parked on a dark road where the trees lean in like curious strangers. Two teens talk in low voices. A figure steps from the shadows with a flashlight and a gun. He says almost nothing. He moves fast, then he vanishes. By morning, fear has a new name in Texarkana. Reporters call him the Phantom Killer. Locals call him the man who owns the night. Join me as we step into one of Texarkana's darkest unsolved nightmares. This is a story about a small American city in the spring of 1946, right after World War II. People want normal life again. They want dances, milkshakes, movies, and late drives under the moon. Instead, Texarkana gets a mystery that still has no ending. Police chase him. Reporters chase him. The whole town changes its routine. And after one short season, the attacks stop as suddenly as they began. We will tell the story simply and carefully. What happened, in what order, what the police tried, who was suspected, and why the case is still open in people's minds. We will keep the victims at the center. We will not glamorize the attacker. We will talk about fear, but not feed it. Texarkana sits on the border of Texas and Arkansas. There is a state line down the middle of town. You can stand with 1 foot in Texas and 1 foot in Arkansas. In 1946, that line matters to the investigation because there are different police and different courts. But to everyday people, it feels like one city with the same shops, the same schools, and the same quiet back roads. After the war, soldiers come home. Factories change back to civilian work. Dance halls are busy. On Friday nights, young couples drive out beyond the streetlights to talk, to listen to the radio, to be alone for a while. These places have simple names: lovers' lanes, farm roads, dead ends near fields. They are private, but they are also exposed. A car is a small island in a big dark sea. It begins with a Friday night drive in late February 1946. A young man and a young woman park on a quiet road just outside town. A man appears with a flashlight and a handgun. He shines the light through the window, so all the couple can see is the circle of white and the shape behind it. He tells them to get out. He speaks a few short sentences. Sometimes he pretends to be law enforcement first, a trick that lowers defenses and buys seconds. What follows is fast and brutal. The attacker keeps control by ordering, striking, and threatening. The couple survive, but they are badly hurt and in shock, and they rush to tell the police. This first attack carries important clues. The attacker is calm and efficient. He uses a handgun and a bright light to blind and confuse. He likely has local knowledge. He knows where cars go to be alone. And he disappears on foot into the fields and tree lines nearby. The police take statements. They look for footprints and tire marks. They call other departments. They watch the back roads more closely. But the city is still young and hopeful. Many think it might be a one-time event, a terrible crime by a stranger passing through. Weeks later, they learn that is not true. In late March 1946, it happens again. A couple does not come home. A dark lane, a parked car, two young people who never planned to be part of a legend. The scene is found in the early hours. The car is still there. The bodies are there too. The attacker is gone. Now the city understands this is not random. Someone is hunting couples in cars. The press calls him the Phantom because he appears and disappears like smoke. Tips flood in from both states. Patrols double. Parents make new rules. Hardware stores sell out of locks. Gun shops sell out of ammunition. The calm after the war breaks again. A pattern begins to show. The Phantom chooses secluded roads just outside the city's glow. The initial approach is fast. light in the eyes and a gun at the window. He forces people out and then attacks. He leaves little behind, few prints and few clear tracks. Detectives from Texas and Arkansas now work side by side. They compare notes, compare shell casings, compare timings. They ask radio stations to play warnings. They beg couples to stay in lit public places. Some people listen, some do not. And the Phantom continues. In mid-April 1946, two friends have a busy Saturday night. One plays saxophone in a local band. After the show, they plan to meet, talk, and drive home. They do not arrive. The search begins with calls to friends and families, and within hours, cars and officers fan out along dirt roads and farm gates. One body is found near a gravel shoulder. The other is found later, farther away. The delay is heavy on the city's heart. People volunteer to walk fields with lanterns and flashlights. Reporters write about how quiet the country sounds when dozens of feet move through it at once. This third attack adds more fear and more questions for investigators. The Phantom can move victims or make them run. He may know multiple routes into the same area. He is not afraid of search efforts. He leaves and stays gone. And the weapon and behavior still look like the earlier attacks. Now the streets are different. After sunset, windows light earlier, doors lock earlier. Police set up roadblocks, stop cars leaving back roads, and shine lights into back seats. Some nights officers pose as couples, using decoy cars in risky places. They wait for long, cold hours. Nothing happens in front of them. As soon as they leave, people say they saw a figure down the way. In early May 1946, a new kind of attack brings fear into the center of everyday life. A married couple live in a rural home with fields and a road not far away. It is evening. A radio hums. A chair creaks. Through a window, a rifle fires. A man inside the home is shot. His wife tries to help, then tries to flee. The attacker is outdoors, shooting through glass into a room filled with light. The wife is badly injured but survives. She runs to neighbors for help, leaving a trail that later reminds detectives how small actions save lives. This attack sends a louder message than the others. Even home is not safe, not cars, not farmhouses, and the city tightens like a fist. Police note the difference in weapons. Earlier attacks used a handgun. This one uses a rifle. They ask if this is the same man changing tools or a copycat who wants to claim the fear. The timing, the control, and the short season of violence keep the debate alive for years. Panic grows fast. Patience is harder, and the police must do both. Act fast to save lives and act slow to avoid mistakes. They form a joint task force where Texas Rangers, Arkansas officers, city police, and county sheriffs share information. They offer rewards, take tips, and keep phone lines busy. They support curfews and heavy patrols. They use dark lanes as bait with hidden backup teams. They check gun sales at stores and pawn shops. They look at service records as men move through bus stations and rail depots after the war. They study ballistics, the bullets and casings and the marks they carry, and they build charts on the wall. They manage press strategy, deciding what to tell the public and what to hold back so the attacker cannot track them. Meanwhile, the city changes its nightly rhythm. Movie theaters seat couples in the middle rows, not the back. Dances end earlier. Parents pick up teens from dates. Cafe owners walk staff to their cars. Porch lights stay on all night. Hardware stores order extra deadbolts. People carry flashlights and whistles. Everyone becomes a lookout. The case also pulls out the worst parts of a frightened crowd. Vigilantes with rifles on the seat, false accusations against neighbors, and pranks that waste police time. Officers must chase every call but keep the core team focused. Fear is loud. Facts are quiet. The job is to listen for facts. A case like this produces hundreds of suspects. Some are named by neighbors who always thought he was strange. Some are named by family members who are afraid of what they know. Some are just men who match a rough description, a certain height, a certain face, a certain car. One name rises above the rest in later talk. A local car thief and burglar with a history of violence and a record across state lines. He is already known to police. He is arrested for other crimes. His wife says alarming things, then pulls them back. He faces charges, but no jury ever convicts him for the Texarkana murders. The reasons are legal and complex. Rules about spousal testimony at that time, thin physical evidence, and facts that feel right but do not meet the standard of proof. To many detectives, he feels right. The timing of his movements, his access to cars, his temper, his skills. But feeling right is not proof. Police do not get to choose the truth by instinct. They need evidence that stands in court. The case remains open. The suspect remains a shadow in the news, and the phantom remains a question. Other suspects appear in the following years: traveling workers, men who left town suddenly, men with scars and stories and alibis that do not walk straight. Some are cleared, some are never fully checked because time moves on and files are boxed. If you stack all the names behind each other, you get a long human line. Somewhere in that line might be the man, or he never stood in the line at all. Crime scenes in 1946 offer less than today. There is no DNA. There are no surveillance cameras. Phones are fixed to walls and do not track location. Forensics focus on bullets and casings, linking cases by caliber and tool marks, with patterns that suggest a pistol in the first 3 attacks and a rifle in the farmhouse shooting. On tracks and prints where dirt roads hold shoe prints for hours, then lose them to wind and tires. On tire marks that help if the attacker drives and mean little if he parks far away and walks in. On timelines, who saw what and when, who heard a shot or a scream or a car door. On victim routines, when they left home and who saw them at a cafe, a show, or a station. And on guns in the region, pawn shops, sporting stores, and private sales where many guns pass from hand to hand without paper trails. Silence is part of the evidence too. The phantom likely watches. He chooses paths that are dark but close to escape routes. He knows when late trains roll by and when patrol cars loop back to town. He uses ordinary darkness as cover, not clever disguises, and he leaves few souvenirs. That points to a man who practices control, not a man who stumbles. The Texarkana attacks run from late winter to early spring, a brief but intense season. Many serial offenders show cycles that stretch years. The phantom burns hot and then goes silent. Why? People suggest he was arrested for another crime and sat in prison while the case cooled. Or he moved to a new state, a new life, a new name. Or he married or joined a household where his nights changed. Or he died in an accident or from illness. Or he changed his hunting ground or his victim type. So later crimes were never linked back to Texarkana. Each theory fits some facts and fails others. The case stays where it is, open in the files and closed in the court. True crime can drown in details about the suspect, so turn the lens back to the people who were lost and the people who lived. In news articles, their names come as pairs and timelines. In life, they were children, friends, students, musicians, partners, and neighbors. They had plans and inside jokes and favorite songs. That is what the phantom took. Not just lives, but future plans. For the families, the rest of 1946 is a year of funerals, quiet kitchens, and empty chairs. Mothers write letters to relatives. Fathers mow lawns and stop halfway, standing with hands on the handle, staring at nothing. Sisters wear a coat that still smells like the person who is gone. Friends carry guilt for arriving 5 minutes late or taking a different road. These are the private facts behind the public story. For survivors, the echo is different but heavy. They tell their story again and again to nurses, police, reporters, and cousins. They wake in the night when a car slows on the street. They flinch at a flashlight in a backyard. They learn to repeat the same sentences because repetition is easier than explaining everything again. Courage is not always loud. Often it is a quiet voice telling the same truth for years. Reporters come from Dallas, Little Rock, and farther away. The case has a frame newspapers like a name, the Phantom, a place, Texarkana, a mood, moonlit roads, and a clock that seems to tick between weekends. The attention helps and hurts. It helps because the whole region watches, tips arrive, strangers check their memories, someone notices a neighbor who changed cars. It hurts because noise builds, prank calls, false confessions, copycat threats, rumor storms. Police manage this with briefings, careful releases, corrections, and requests that the press hold back details only the real attacker would know. It is a dance between openness and strategy. In 1946, that balance is hard. It is still hard today. Some cases fade when solved. This one stays sharp because it is unsolved and cleanly shaped. A short time frame, a distinct victim type at first, couples in cars, then a shocking variation at a farmhouse, a strong setting, a border city where two states must work together, a single season of fear that changes how people live, and a main suspect who felt right to some, but never met the standard of proof. It also endures because it teaches lessons without leaning on gore. Couples learn to stay where there was light and people. Patrols learn to use decoys with better support. Investigators learn to coordinate across jurisdictions faster and share files better. And Americans learned a painful truth that repeats across decades. Quiet places are safe until someone decides to use their quiet as a weapon. Imagine one of the nights using what survivors and investigators said. The road is hard-packed dirt with a few ruts. Trees and brush make a dark edge on both sides. The couple parks with the headlights off, the motor stops, and the tick of cooling metal is loud in the new silence. Somewhere in the brush, a man watches until the couple settles. He may listen for a train or a patrol car. He steps out with a flashlight already in his hand and a handgun ready. He aims the light at faces. People naturally look into light, and while they blink, he gives short orders. He keeps distance, staying outside the reach of a hand or a door swing. He pushes people out of the car, away from the horn and the radio and the keys. He acts quickly, then leaves on a path he already traced in his head. He does not start a car nearby. He walks into darkness, uses ditches or fence lines, and is gone. This is not clever like a movie villain. It is simple and brutal. It is the kind of plan a person can repeat. That is part of why it is so dangerous. Some people ask if we have two attackers here, one who targets couples in cars with a pistol, and another who shoots a man through a window with a rifle. The timing and tone feel linked. The tools differ. There are cases where different weapons are used by the same person because of opportunity or risk, and cases where copycats appear. Without DNA or a confession, we cannot be sure. What matters is that the attacks together shaped behavior. Whether it was one man expanding his range or two men acting in the same season, Texarkana's nights changed. The police had to protect against both patterns. Cars on dark lanes and homes with lit windows beside open fields. If this case happened today, officers would have license plate readers near highways and key exits, cameras at gas stations, stores, and intersections, cell phone records and location data with court orders, DNA from touch points in cars and on clothing, gunshot detection systems in some cities to time and locate gunfire, unified databases to compare bullets, casings, and gun sales, public alerts by text, and social media tips, for better and worse. Would that solve it? Maybe. It would create more leads and also more noise. The lesson is not that we would catch him easily. The lesson is that tools help, but disciplined work matters most. Timelines, interviews, neighborhood knowledge, and a community that notices what is normal and what is not. By summer, the attacks stop. The Phantom is gone. To where, no one knows. The city tries to breathe again. Curfews soften. Dance halls fill again. Couples return to lovers' lanes carefully, in 2s and 4s, with a car parked behind them to block the road. The border of Texas and Arkansas goes back to being a line on a map, not a line in a manhunt. But the case never really ends. It becomes a story parents tell. It becomes a chapter in true crime books, a podcast episode, a documentary, and a question new detectives still ask when they open old boxes. What did we miss? Is there a letter we did not read? Is there a cousin who heard something at a barbecue in 1953? A gun that changed hands 3 times and sits in a box in a barn? One day, a small thing might turn the wall into a door. That is how cold cases break. A name scribbled in a Bible, a pawn ticket in a shoebox, a family story that feels different after a funeral, a gun taken apart and hidden in a shed that a grandchild finally cleans. It happens, not often, but it happens. Here is what we can say for sure. In Texarkana in 1946, a series of night attacks on couples in cars, and later on a farmhouse, left 5 people dead and others injured. The attacker was called the Phantom Killer, the Texarkana Phantom. The pattern showed a handgun in the early attacks and a rifle in the farmhouse shooting. The attacks caused citywide fear, joint police action across Texas and Arkansas, curfews, and decoy patrols. A main suspect drew heavy police attention, but was never convicted for these crimes. The case remains unsolved. Everything beyond those lines is interpretation, theory, or memory. If this kept you listening, please like the video and subscribe. It helps us make more calm, careful cases. Tell us in the comments, which part of the investigation feels most important to you? The decoy patrols, the joint work across 2 states, or the witness timelines? And do you think the farmhouse attack was the same man or a copycat? For more slow, detailed stories to unwind with, check the True Crime for Sleep playlist. There's a link in the description and on the end screen.